and welcome to Thursday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we've got something very special for you indeed. This Sudoku on screen, which is called Lightbulb Moment by ZergreS, involves a riddle. We have to solve what I think is some sort of mathsy riddle in order to even access the Sudoku. I have had a quick read of the rules here. They are quite extraordinary, I will tell you that, and very, very interesting. And there's some sort of sieve of, Eratosthenes going on, I think, which we're going to have to think about if we're going to understand about the people that need to march through this hallway in the grid. Of what do I speak, you may be wondering? Well, I'll explain all that in just a moment. I've got a couple of things to mention first. Thank you so much if you joined Mark and I last night on our trip on the return of the Obra Dinn. We did manage to finish the game, believe it or not, which was a surprise to both of us. And yeah, we're thinking about what to stream next. It'll probably be a return to Bubba Is You, probably early next week. And then if you'd like to see us stream anything else, do let us know. Maybe drop a comment on this video. Now, the next thing I need to mention, I tell you what I'm going to mention now. We got a lovely suggestion on Twitter. This picture came in from Mountain Ray, who has designed me a tattoo that I need to have done. It can only go here by Sudoku, which I don't know where on my body, Mountain Ray, you're suggesting I get this tattooed, but it did amuse me, and it's really quite funny. So I don't have any tattoos. I'm probably not planning on getting one, but if I did, this would be the one I would definitely get. Now, what else? Well, our book, of course. This is it. This is the physical copy. The physical copy is winging its way to you at the moment. But if you are impatient, and I wouldn't blame you for being impatient, and you supported the book on Kickstarter, you can download your copy now, an electronic copy. Just log into your Kickstarter account and you'll find it there. And we've just been, overwhelmed is probably the right word with the feedback. We've been absolutely delighted by those of you that have got your hands on it. And in fact, some of you have even completed already the puzzle hunt that we have. As a new puzzle hunt in the book. We thought it might take you a while to finish, but no, we've had 3 correct answers already. So very well done to Michael and Elvis Kramer, to Ferdinand Stan, and to Pankaj Kansal. You all solved it correctly, which is absolutely brilliant work. Very well done indeed. Now, that's all I've got to tell you. So let's get on with Lightbulb Moment, and I will read you these extraordinary rules. Now, the rules are divided into 2 sections. There is the riddle part, which we need to do first, and then if we can solve the riddle, we get to use the results of the riddle to solve the resultant Sudoku. So what I think we should probably do first is just do the riddle. If we can do the riddle, we'll have a go at the Sudoku. If we can't do the riddle, that will be bad. I'll read you the riddle. A long hallway has 43 light bulbs on the ceiling. Each light bulb has a pull cord that turns it on and off. All the light bulbs start turned off. 43 people go down this hallway. The first person pulls every cord, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., so that now all the bulbs are on. The second person pulls every other cord, cords 2, 4, 6, 8, etc. The third person pulls every third cord, 3, 6, 9, 12, etc., and so on with the rest. Finally, the 43rd person pulls just the 43rd cord. Which bulbs are on after all the people have passed through? And then ZergreS says, feel free to use the Sudoku Grid to work out the answer. And this is just a beautiful, beautiful rendition of this, because I think there are 43 bulbs along this hallway that ZergreS has put into the grid. And there's even arrows here pointing the direction in which the people move. Let me just check. There are 43. So I know there are 9 cells in a row of the Sudoku. So that's 27, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 43. There are 43 bulbs So the first person sort of comes in here, makes their way round, and turns all of the bulbs on. So they would go through, I'm not proposing, this would be a way of solving it, I guess, is to just literally do this 43 times, turn them all on and off and on and off and on and off. That would be a very long-winded way of doing it. I don't propose to do it that way. The second person goes in and looks at the even numbered, or pulls the chords on the even numbers, which actually is going to turn them off again. I suppose I'll just quickly flick through this. It's quite satisfying to do it. So all of those turn off, and then the third person comes in and pulls the chords on every third one. So that's going to be these ones, I think. I'm not going to go all the way through, etc., etc., etc. And our challenge is to work out which ones of these bulbs will be on at the end of the process, which is, I think it's a lovely idea. I think I understand how to solve it, and let me explain to you why I think that. But hats off, ZergreS. This is very, very original stuff, and something I wholeheartedly approve of. The idea that you have to resolve a riddle before you get to solve a Sudoku is something I've not seen before. But this is beautiful. And what I think is especially brilliant is the way it's been rendered in the puzzle is so thematically elegant. So how do you solve this? Well, I think we have to think about the factors of numbers, because let's just pick a number. Let's pick a number that's got a lot of factors. 18. I'll pick 18. So we've got to find 18th cell. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So this cell, I think. So let's think about if we can work out which people are going to affect the 18th cell in the hallway. Now, the first person who goes through is turning on everything, so clearly they affect this one. What else is going to affect this one? Well, the 18th person is going to go immediately to this one and pull the cord. Similarly, the second person who goes through, they're just pulling the chords on the even numbers. The third person is doing every third number, so 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So they're going to pull this chord. Who else is going to pull it? Well, I guess the 9th person will pull it, because they will pull the 9th one, wherever that is there, I think, and then this one. The 6th person will do this one as their third one. And that's all. So basically, it's going to be the people who go through first, second, third, 6th, 9th, 18th. Now, that's an even number of people who pull this chord. In other words, by the time they've all pulled it, it will have reverted to its original state, because we can think about it, if an odd number of people pulled it, it would be on. So the first person goes through, turns it on, the second person turns it off. So even numbers of factors turn off the bulbs. So what we're looking for, I think, in this puzzle is digits with an odd number of factors. And I happen to know which digits have an odd number of factors. If you don't know, pause the video, Agadmatus style, have a think and see if you can work out which digits have an odd number of factors. And it's just a beautiful problem, it really is. But I think to see the answer, we're going to have to go back a couple of cells from 18. Let's have a look at that one. So why do I think the 16th cell is interesting? Well, let's think about the factors of 16. They are 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. So we can think about the factors in pairs. The first person is obviously going to pull the chord, but 1 goes into 16 times. So the 16th person is also going to pull the chord. 2, which is a factor of 16, goes into 16 8 times. So the 2 and the 8 pair off, and they pull the chord each, and it cancels out. But the 4 doesn't have a natural pair. It doesn't, because the fourth person who goes through and definitely pulls the chord for this one doesn't have another fourth person going after them also pulling the chord, because it's a square number. 4 times 4 equals 16. Isn't that beautiful? So all we're looking for, I think, is square numbered bulbs. All the square numbered bulbs in this puzzle are the answer to it. So what do we have to do? Do we have to light them up or something? Which bulbs are on after all the people have passed through? So the bulbs that are on are those corresponding to square numbers. So 1 is on. I guess we use yellow for being on. 4 is on. 9 is on. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is on. 16 we just did, that's on. 25, so 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, that's on. 36, so 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, demonstrating I can count, hopefully. 49, oh no, 49 is too big, because 49 is obviously higher than 43, and I think there were 43 bulbs. So, this is the solution to the riddle. Now, we get to do a Sudoku off the back of this. So let's get to the Sudoku rules and read them out. We have got the following. Mark the final lit bulbs in the Sudoku grid. Well, we've done that. The hallway starts with bulb 1 in row 1, column 3. Well, I assume that from the arrows. So, hang on a minute. I hope that was clear. Blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe it wasn't clear, but I just assumed it from the arrows. So, we've done what we're meant to do. Now, right, lit hallway cells, that's these cells, the yellow cells, are brighter, brackets higher, than their hallway neighbours. Hallway cells get darker, brackets lower, as you get further away from a lit cell. Right, so this is like thermometers, I think. Between every 2 lit cells in the hallway, there will be a darkest, bracket lowest cell. It can be anywhere between the 2 lit cells. Arrows show the way through the hall. Digits along an arrow sum to the circled digit. So let's divide this up. Arrows are working normally, I think is what we're learning here. These 2 cells, therefore, sum to their arrowed circle. So if that was a 4 and this was a 5, that would be a 9. Now, the other bit of the rules is more complicated. We've lit some cells up, and between every 2 lit cells there will be a darkest cell. So let's just have a think about that in the context of row 3. As we move away from a lit cell, we work down because things get darker. So let's imagine we work down to here. This is the darkest, dingiest corner of the hallway. Then, yes, okay, and this now operates a bit like a thermobulb. In other words, if that was a 1, this thermo would have to go up towards this, which is like a thermotip. So we'd have to ascend in terms of digits, and we'd have to ascend towards this cell. So once we work out which is the darkest, dingiest core or cell or corner of the hallway between 2 yellows, that's the thermobulb, and we have to go up towards each end, is how I think what's going on. I mean, you just get lost in admiration for execution like this. I really do. Because ZergreS has obviously had to come up with a riddle depicted like this in a Sudoku grid. And presumably, I mean, this grid does not look straightforward. There are no given digits, but apparently, and the arrows are totally thematic. And apparently this is going to solve. This is going to be interesting indeed. Do have a go yourselves. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. And now I get to play. Let's get cracking. It occurs to me I've probably done this all in the wrong order for this puzzle because we sort of just jumped into solving the riddle, but never mind. So, how do we do this? We can. So every one of these is like a tip of a thermo, and every unlit cell is like a normal thermo cell that is not. Yes, okay. So where does the 9 go? In row 7? That would be a sensible question to ask. Because it can never go in a cell between 2 yellows, because that would imply we need to rise towards the yellows. And that's going to mean the yellow has to be greater than 9, which it can't be because this is a Sudoku. So that's a 9. That's a 9, exactly the same reason in row 5. It's the only cell that can be a tip. Now in row 3, which one is the 9? It's not that one. That's going to be the 9. Now in row 1. No, actually in row 1 it's less good, isn't it? We don't... Well, one of those could be a 9. I don't know which one. But actually, because the hallway starts here, these two cells are unrestricted. So they could be 9. Well, that one can't be 9, but that could be a 9. So I think the 9 could be in one of 3 places in row 1. Oh no, have I made a... I think I've made a mistake. Ah, sorry. What have I done here? I've not got a yellow down here. Oh no, hang on, let me read the rules again. Sorry about this. Between hallways. Oh no, sorry. I don't think you need to have yellow. I don't think I need to have a yellow. It just says that hallway cells get lower as you get further away from the lit cell. And then it has another rule that specifies how it works if there are 2 yellow cells. So this is important because that means this cell, as we move down the hallway to the darkest, dingiest bit, this must be like the bulb of the thermo. This is the darkest corner. It's the furthest away from the lit bit. The lit bit. So this... Is there 9 cells? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... Ah, no, there isn't. There's... Right, so there's 1 degree of freedom on this weird-looking thermo. So we could almost label this as... That is the darkest, dingiest portion of this bit of the thermo. And it's got to be a 1 or a 2. That's got to be a 2 or a 3. We can just go along the thermo doing a bit of good lifting to fill it in. Now... Yeah, this is nice. Now we'll revert back to arrow logic, because this square can't be a 2. Because if that's a 2, that's a 3, and 2 plus 3 does not equal 3 plus 4. These are the little gems we share with you on Cracking the Cryptic. So that has to be a 1, and presumably that's going to be problematic for that string of digits. We've got to put a 1 in this row, and we've got to put it somewhere where it... Yeah, okay, wherever we put the 1 in row 7, it will be the bulb of the thermo that exists between these 2 lit cells. So it can't go there. If that was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This would have to be an 11. It's not an 11, so that's not a 1. So the 1 is in one of those 3 cells, which is presumably putting a lot of pressure on these digits, maybe. Because if that... I mean, this digit here, this is the closest the 1 can be to this 9. So if this was a 1, we could go 2... Oh, we can't even go 2, 3, I've just noticed. If we go 2, 3, that cell's got no value. So the best we can do here is 2, 4, 5, 6. So this square is at least a 6. And that's best case. That's if I put the 1 as near to this 9 as I can. So that square there is a 6, 7, or an 8, therefore, which is making a triple in the box. Oh, yes, okay, another question we can ask now is where do 1 and 2 go in box 7? Those 2 squares are the only ones available. And this is amazing, because now I'll ask a different question, which is where does 3 go in that box? Only there. Yeah, where does 4 go in the box? Only there. Where does 5 go in the box? Only there. So this is a 3, 4, 5 triple. That square has become a 2 by arithmetic. Now I've got a 1, 2 pair here and a 1, 2 pair there. So there's a 2 in one of those cells. I'm not sure if I should understand what that means, though. Does that mean that... Do we know which side of the 1? We know there's a 1 in one of these 3. We know the 1 is going to be blue. It's going to be the darkest, dingiest corner. And we know it must therefore be next to the 2. But do we know whether the 2 is to the right of the 1 or to the left of the 1? I'm not sure. If that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8 or something like that, 9. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. There might be a way of resolving this, but I'm not immediately seeing how to do it. Yeah, like I think the question I should be asking is something like, where does 3 go in this row? But in my head, I can't quite work out whether it... I can see it can't be here, because then I'd have to go 3... I can't put... What digit is lower than 3 that is not a 1 or a 2 that I have to put in this square? So the 3 is in one of those cells. Not quite seeing what that means, I have to say. Sorry, yeah, okay, so probably we've got to look somewhere else. He says, buying time for himself as he fails to get any sort of deduction out of that. Right, so where do we look now? Is it going to be... Oh no, right, it's this cell is interesting. I hadn't realised this was a 3-cell arrow, which is bad. That's a 3-cell arrow. So this arrow is at least, well, the minimum we can make it is a 1, 2, 3 triple. So that square there has to be a high digit, but it's not a 9. So that means on this string of digits now there must be a 1, because whether we're adding up to 6, 7 or 8 in 3 cells, you have to use a 1. And that 1 is, of course, going to be the bulb of the floating thermo that exists between these 2 digits. And that must put immense pressure. Surely that can't be a 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that doesn't work anyway. That would repeat the 4. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, it doesn't work. That cannot be a 1. If this is the 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that would work. But there is very, very few degrees of freedom again along here. Let me just check that again. 1, 2. That can't be a 3 actually. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, it's not as good as I hoped. I think these 4 digits are a bit restricted. Because this one can't be a 3, it must be at least a 4, but it can't be greater than a 5. Because if we did try and make this 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we'd repeat the 9. So we get a little bit of restriction along there, which is interesting, but probably not... No, this is good. This is good. Because where do you put 1 in row 5 now? Well, I don't think you can put it here. Because wherever the 1 is, between these 2 9s, it will axiomatically be the bulb. Now we know there's a 1 in one of those 3 squares in row 7. And what we can't have is we can't have a sine wave between the thermos. There's going to be 2 high digits and a low bulb between them that we have to sort of work our way down to. What you can't have is a dropping to a low thing, going up and then dropping down and then going up again. That's not right. So you can't put a 1 in either of those squares. That's not correct. So the 1... Yeah, and that's done it, hasn't it? Because now I know that definitely there's a 1 in one of these 2 cells, but I also know therefore this cannot be a 1, because there's definitely a 1 in one of those 2 squares. That's gorgeous. So this has to be the 1, because we know that there's a 1 on this arrow. So there we go. We've got a 1 here. Now, is it really possible for us to put a 2 in here? Does that work the same way or not? If you put a 2 in there, Yeah, well, it's almost the same. It's still good logic to say you can't put a 2 in here. Because if you do, the closest you could put the 2 to the 1 we know exists on this string of digits is here. So let's put the 1 as close to the 2 as we can. Now, what digit are we going to put in here so that this ascends? 1.5? No, we can't put 1.5 into a Sudoku. So you can't put a 2 in either of those. So the 2 must go here. 3, we've not put 3 in row 5 yet. Oh, this is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Right. Where does the 3 go in this domino? If you put the 3 here, again, the closest you can put the 1 is here. You can't put 2 into both of those squares, so this cannot ascend in any integral way using integers. It won't work. So that can't be the 3. This must be the 3. Now we've got to get down to a digit here. We're going to need to use a 2, and then we can just hit the 1 that we know must exist. And now one of those 2 squares is still a 2. This is the bulb. And we can say... I don't know what we can say. Well, yes, I do know one thing I can say. In fact, I know a few things I can say. Yeah, now I think we go back to row 7 again, where I've got to put in lots and lots of low digits on a thermo that's rising to this 9. So where do you put the 2? Again, you can't put the 2 here, or this square would have no value, so the 2 must go there. Where do I put the 3 now? And this is iterative. We can just keep going along the line until perhaps we get to this one. So if that one is... This is a 6, 7, or an 8. If it's... Yeah, this works. If this works, if this is a 7 or an 8, that square's a 6, and the line is oscillating again. It needs to go up smoothly towards the 9 without dropping down. So this has to be the 6, otherwise it's going to oscillate. Now that's a 6 by Sudoku. So is there any... I don't know if there's pressure on that arrow now. Or row 5, this square. Ooh, no, I don't like that square, that's for sure. Because look, this thermo is rising. 1, 2, 3. So this square here can be any number between 4 and 8 inclusive. So I think that cell is not under pressure in the way that we would like it to be. Okay, what about that arrow then? This square can't be a 2. Yeah, oh, I tell you what is important. Remember that this is like a thermo again. This 1 has to go to higher digits. So if that's a 3, that can't be... That must be a... In fact, this thermo is forced. Because this digit can't be a 2, the minimum it could be is 3. The minimum this digit is 4, but this cannot be any more than 8. So the only way of keeping it down to 8 is with 3 and 4, and that is 8. Now, so it's really weird. We solved the riddle by going forwards through the hallway, but we're solving the Sudoku by going backwards through the hallway. And now I'm stuck. How do I do this? Oh, 6 here. I use Sudoku. When in doubt and when I'm stuck, I should always put a mental note to myself to use Sudoku because it might help me in a Sudoku puzzle. That's a 2, so that's a 2 and that's a 1. The 1's in one of those 3 cells, but presumably can't be in a lit cell because then I'd have to put a 0 into the bulb, so that's not a 1. 1 here is going to be very... Well, 1 here would be beautiful because it would force... This would be a thermo going up. It would be 2... Oh, no, it doesn't work. That can't be a 1 because we have to put a 2 in row 3. It would have to go there. It's the only place it could go. If you try and put it there, you've got to put 1.5 between it again. And it can't go there because there's a 2 in the column. So that's not a 1, which is gorgeous because that means this is a 1. So now, I'm not sure where we should be looking exactly. 2 has to go in one of those cells. Let's try and do a bit of Sudoku maybe. 3 has to go in one of those cells. 1 in that box. Oh, I tell you what you can't do. You can't put 1 in the circled cell like that, because then these two squares would have to be adding up to 1, which is clearly not going to work. So 1 is restricted to one of 2 places in box 3. Neither of which looks terribly helpful. It's probably on the arrow. Okay. So how do we do this? Maybe we think about where 1 goes in row 3, do we? So 1 can't be there, it can't be there, and it can't be there because that's in a circle. So 1 is in one of 3 positions. Let's just highlight those for a moment and take a stare at them. See if we can figure out. So if that's a 1, we've got to ascend towards the 9, which is going to make this circle very large. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it can't be 4. There's a 4 already. Oh, hang on. If that's a 1, 2, 3, 5, that would be 8, which it can't be. Right, that's lovely. We can rule this one out from being a 1. If that's a 1, you've got to go 2, 3 as a minimum. But then the minimum value of this domino is 3 plus 5. And therefore this circle's becoming too high. So that's not a 1, which means that the 1 is definitely on the arrow. Oh, it's just not surprising. It's probably that one, but we don't know. One of those is a 1. So maybe we ask where 2 goes, do we, in this row? 2 can't go in those 2 cells, or that one actually. So 2 has 3 options. One of those 3 cells is the 2. Right, this is good. Right, we can do something with this. So the question I now want to ask is it possible that this is not a 2? So if that's not a 2, this is a 1-2 pair. Well, that's broken the puzzle, because now this square is the sum of 1 plus 2. So this is a 3, but now look at the row. We've got to put 5, 6 and 7 here, and we're ascending in this direction, because this is the lowest digit is one of those 2. So we're ascending up towards 8. So that has to be 5, broken. That has to be 6, broken. That has to be 7. Well, no, that maybe this cell may not be broken, but those 2 cells are definitely broken. So you can't put a 2 on top of the 1s here. This is not a 1-2 pair. And if it's not a 1-2 pair, the only place for the 2 is there. And if that's true, surely this has to be the 1, doesn't it? Because if that's the 1, again, we've got to put 1.5 in here. So this is a 1. The 1 in box 3 now is forced upwards to be in that cell. And we can... Yeah, now I can place 2 in box 3 by Sudoku of all things. 2 has to be in one of these 2 cells. Well, you can't put 2 there, or that will be another 1 to make the arithmetic work. So that's 2. Can that be a 3? I'm just looking at the 3s now in columns 7 and 9. If this is a 3, that's a 2. To make the arithmetic work again, it can't be a 2. So the 3 goes here. So what can this arrow be then? Oh, no, I know. A better idea is firstly to do that, and then to ask where does 3 go in row 3? Because it's not in those cells, and it can't be separated from the 2 once it's on the other side. So, 2. Where does 2 go in the central box? We can do some more Sudoku. Of course we can do more Sudoku. I never expected anything less. Now, these squares here are 5, 6 and 7 to complete row 3. But we've got to be careful this way, because remember this is like a thermo, so that can't be 7 and that can't be 5. Still 2 options remain. 1 plus 5 equals 6, 1 plus 6 equals 7. And that one is unrestricted. Bobbins. Okay. How, though? How do you create a puzzle like this from a riddle like that? It is absolutely gorgeous. What's going on then in So this box is now interesting, isn't it? Because this 1 is on a weird thermo with that 9, so these have to ascend. But that's also got to be greater than... Yes. Yes. Okay, where's the 4 in this box? It's not here, because if that's 4, you're adding a low digit here, which is impossible. So that's not 4. If this is 4, this needs to be a 1, 2 or a 3, which it can't be. So the 4 goes in the 4 in the corner, doesn't get a song, but that's a 5 now by arithmetic. That's a 6. That's a 7. That's not a 7. That's a 5 exactly by Sudoku. Look, we've locked 6 and 7 out of the row. So that's become a 5. That squares an 8 by Sudoku. This column needs 5s, 6s and 7s to complete. And I can see that one can't be 5 and that one can't be 6. No, okay, don't quite see how we take that further forward. 2 can be placed in box 1. That probably puts pressure on this column where we need 7s, 8s and 9s to finish it. 7, 8 and 9, that's not 8. Oh, okay. Don't quite know how to do that. What do we need into this box then? We need 6, 7 and 9 into those squares, which might be resolved. This is a 9 here, so that's not 9. This is 6 or 7. These squares are 6, 7, 8 and 9. Yeah, but we've got sort of a thermo thing going on here. Yeah, well, we can't put 6s in the yellows because then the 6 is the highest digit, isn't it? And we'll have to put a lower digit into one of those cells at least, and none of them could be lower. So you can't put 6 in the wings here. You can't put 9 in the middle. So now I've got a 7, 9 pair here, and that square's become a 6. Which means these two squares are 5 and 7 to complete that column. That's not a 7 anymore. Nah, nearly. The 6 in row 1 is forced to be here. So that's not 6. It's a 6 there, of course. Is it why that's the case? Now that's going 6, 7. Yeah, okay, so now this square is forced to be 9. Because you can't put a digit. If that was 7, you can't put 6.5 in here. So this square's 9, that square's 7, that square's 8, that square's 9, that square's 7. These two squares are 6 and 8 to complete that. That square's not 9 anymore. Can we do the ordering of this? So if that's weird. No, we can't. So this is the lowest digit, and whatever this is, it's ascended to it, and whatever that is, it's ascended through it to the 9. So we don't know those. These squares are 4, 5 and 9. There's 5s there, so we can get the 5. These two squares are a 4, 9 pair. I've got a 7, 8 pair in this column, look, which I had not seen. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, 7, 8 pair here. So this is a 7, 8 pair, which means those two squares are a 3 and a 9, which we can do. So that's 3, that's 9. So these squares are 6, 7 and 8, which is, well, actually that's a 5 now. Can we do the ordering of this? We know that's not 6, that's not 7. These squares are, oh, it's 4 and 9 again. Ah, but there's a 9 here, so that's 9, that's 4. Which means, and I've got a 6, 8 pair here as well. So it's all kicking off. We need 5 and, what is it, 5 and 4 into those squares. I think so. That's very, very irritating, because I can't see how to resolve it. There must be a way. What about there? We need 1s, 7s and 8s into these squares. Again, that feels like it should be resolved, but I can't see how to do it. Okay, so we're now stuck. How do we resolve the puzzle? We shall... Now, I know what I'll have forgotten to do. Sudoku. So where is the Sudoku that I've forgotten to do? What about this column? Yes, that column needs something in it, which I should be able to get. It's a 6. So that square is a 6. That gets me a 6 and an 8. Which... I see. And that fixes the whole of the central row. So that's really rather beautiful. That gets me a 7, a 1 and an 8 here. That gets me a 7, 6 and 8 at the bottom of the grid. This 7 gets me a 7 and a 5. That gets me a 5 and a 4. Now hopefully the middle of this is going to resolve nicely. This is a 1, 9 pair. And this is a 3 and a 4. Yeah, I can see that the 1, 9 is resolved by this. So 1, 9, 9, 4, 4, 3. 7 here gives 7, 8, 8, 7. Good grief, that's clever. Good grief, that's clever. Absolutely brilliant. ZergreS, take a bow and collect your medal. That was absolutely wonderful. What a beautiful puzzle. I loved everything about that. I loved the riddle at the start. That's very beautiful. And then I love the fact that this Sudoku is, I mean, it's not straightforward. It's just got a lot of very clever ideas in it. And, you know, you've really got to work your way through the thinking in terms of where you can position the bulbs such that everything works out nicely in the end. And there were, yeah, I mean, it's clever, this bit's clever, and then you can do a little bit with that, and then a little bit with that. This row is lovely, that you couldn't put 1 and 2 in this domino. Yeah, just lost in admiration for things like this. Let me know in the comments how you got on. Let me know if you want to see more Riddle Sudokus, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.